I'm wearing my People Proctor Marxist Library hat. I'm taking it off and asking you to fill it with money. That's how we get along. The 1% hasn't offered us any money, and if they did, we wouldn't take it because we're determined to rely on people who come here. So, and I'll give a financial report at the planning meeting shortly thereafter. Also want to mention that next week we have Sandeep, our friend Sandeep, speaking on climate change and renewable energy revolution. So that's coming up next week. It will be excellent. There are some flyers in back. Please take them. And if those of you who are not on our mailing list will send me an email, and my email's on this flyer here. If you send me an email, you will get on the mailing list. Okay, I asked for a little extra time here to kind of respond to what Gerald's discussion was here, because he had a very excellent talk, I think, on certain aspects of the national question. But as I looked it over, I feel that he fundamentally misunderstands the scientific socialist position on the national question. And he was correct in quoting Stalin on the national question and the definition of what is a nation. But he didn't read all of what Stalin had to say on this matter. And this is particularly from the 1920 preface to the Marxism and the national question. And I would say that also that Lenin and Stalin's position on this, as far as I could see, are indistinguishable. But here's what Stalin said. And let me sit down. I'm just going to rest here. This is from the preamble to the 1920 collection. It may seem strange that the article categorically rejects the demand for succession of the border regions from Soviet Russia as being counter-revolutionary move. But there is really nothing strange in that. We are for the succession of India, Arabia, Egypt, Morocco, and other colonies from the imperialist powers, because succession in this case would mean the liberation of those oppressed nations from imperialism, a weakening of the positions of imperialism, and a strengthening of the positions of the revolution. We are against the succession of the border regions from Russia, Soviet Russia, because succession in this case would mean imperialist bondage for the border regions, a weakening of the revolutionary might of revolutionary Russia, and a strengthening of the positions of imperialism. Obviously, succession is a question which must be decided in conformity with the specific international conditions and with the interests of the revolution. So this is a crucial position of scientific socialism on the national question, that if we want to say, yes, these people have the right to succeed, that may be the case, but we have to say that doesn't mean they should succeed. And that question needs to be answered in conformity with the international struggle. And bringing that on to China, we see now that China is a socialist country, and it's being attacked by an imperialist country, United States, and all these other things that are going on here. So again, we have an article back there on Hong Kong specifically. But for example, if you take the case of Tibet, one could argue, if one wanted to in a theoretical way, that it's a nation. But rather than just looking at it theoretically in terms of a theoretical issue, it's a very practical issue in terms of international politics. If Tibet were to become a, quote, independent nation, it would immediately become part of the imperialist, U.S. imperialism, would not benefit the people of Tibet. It would serve as a way to attack revolutionary socialism in China. So I think one needs to put these things into this context of the global class struggle between imperialism on the one hand and socialism on the other hand. Imperialism in this case being represented by United States, of course, and socialism being represented by China. So I know that may be a controversial position, but I'll leave it at that and turn it back over to Raj.
Thank you, Gene.